Hello and welcome to your show, The Signature Show with VINMARTIN, OBIORA, Ilo. All through this week, the big news is about nomination forms in parties. Well, for a while, the PDP were selling forms, and later on, the APC joined, APGA, and a host of other parties. But the exciting thing about the forms is that a lot of politicians are not taking chances. They want to be president, but just in case they don't succeed in being president, they hold on to something lesser than president. We learned in the passing week that some serving senators who are calling out on Nigerians to support them as they roll out the drums for their presidential run, are going in the night. They buy the presidential form with pomp and pageantry in the morning, and then late evening in the night, they go buy the senatorial form or the gubernatorial form just in case. Sometimes they don't do it themselves, they use proxies. So when somebody wants to be president and also wants to be senator, what does it tell you? That, for instance, from starters, the person was not decided on exactly what he wanted. All he wanted was to have a position. It's not because I want to be senator so I can make good laws, or I want to be president so I can, implement good laws. But they just have, just like beer drinkers, they say, you ask somebody, what's your brand? And he says, any beer will do. And they have a special name for them, any cold beer. So for this set of politicians, they just want to hold a position, whether it's president. I hear some of them might even go as low as contesting for councillors, provided they have a position. Well, the exciting thing for me in this gale of buying nomination forms is that a lot of professionals that are non-professional politicians are getting into the ring. They want to make a change. I hear them say things like, if we continue to leave it for these group of people, Nigeria may never get better. So we are encouraged and we wish them all the luck. But on our show today, we are leaving all that, all the nomination, all the politics. We want to look at the part religion can play in politics and development in Nigeria, in Africa. So today we're looking at religion, politics, and development. And we have someone very qualified to talk about it. We have in our studio someone who is a Catholic priest. He's also a professor of African Studies, and he is a professor at the Paul University in Chicago, the United States. He is Professor Stan Chu Ilo. He wrote a book about development, has written another about religion. So today he'll be talking to us about religion, politics, and development. And much later in the program, we'll be talking about women and golf in Nigeria. Just recently, the Nigerian women were part of a competition that took place in Ghana. That competition is called the All-African Challenge Trophy, AACT. It took place in Achimoto Golf Club in Accra, Ghana. And our women were led by the president of the Ladies Golf Association of Nigeria, Mrs. Ekanem Ekweme. Mrs. Ekanem Ekweme is already in the studio, and in a moment she'll be joining me to talk about women and golf in Nigeria. These and many more. Don't go away. Your show continues in a moment. If you're just joining us, welcome to The Signature Show. And with me in the studio is Professor Stan Chu Ilo. Professor Stan Chu Ilo is a research professor of African Studies at the Paul University in Chicago. He's also a Catholic priest. Father Stan, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Religion, politics, and development. Let's take it back. In the traditional African communities, what was the relationship between religion, politics, and development?
Well, traditional African society didn't have those separations because the African worldview is a holistic worldview. So, meaning that the distinction between religion and politics, as well as religion, politics, and development, didn't exist. To be religious is to belong fully and well integrated in the larger web of life, to participate in the social relations, to participate in economic relation. So religion in traditional African society was so essential to the shaping of the communal identity. So traditional religious leaders were actually people who at the same time were investment advisors, if you like. They were healers that we went to when we needed someone to give us direction about the sickness that we have. And religion, therefore, shaped the character. It also shaped the communal identity into which issues of development emerged, because development in terms of the evolution of society from one level to another was something that was inbuilt into the social ecology. So people, for instance, had to farm to produce food. And in order to produce food, they believed that the ancestors would bless the land. And in order for the ancestors to bless the land, they believed that they embody in their daily choices ethical values that would lead to the production and fruitfulness of the earth. At the same time, those involved in leadership must also be religious, meaning that the values they embody must flow from these ancestral values, because it's like generational, intergenerational, from one generation to the other. So really, religion, politics, and development in traditional African society were inseparable, but they all touched each other. Someone cannot be a leader if the person was not seen to be following the ancestral traditions, observing the ethos of the ancestors, observing the values. Someone cannot be a leader if you cannot promote communal life, if you cannot advance society. And someone cannot be a leader if that person doesn't have a moral compass that is rooted in this communal participation. Because at the heart of African traditional religion is participation. That means that I am related to you, not simply because there is a functional relationship, but because there is something intrinsic, the bondedness, our life together has meaning and can be enriched if we upheld certain ethical principles and practices that can help create this holistic society. So that's the way traditional African society understood religion.
When Christian religion, for instance, came in, when Islam came in, did it fast-track development, or was it something that stalled development, as some scholars have said?
Well, I belong to a school of thought that feel that we must, move into a post-development era. What you call development, properly speaking, is really new forms of Western imperialism. You see, at the beginning, at the end of the Second World War, there was a conscious attempt to redefine the world. The League of Nations, at the formation of the League of Nations, some of the people, principal actors at that league, actually understood what you call today the Global South, that is in Africa, Latin America, and Asia, understood that to be a region that is underdeveloped, that is the third world. You see, so you got the first world, the second world, and the third world. So that was the, if you like, the compass with which they wanted to navigate the social evolution of these other nations, which, as at the time of the League of Nations and subsequently the formation of the United Nations, most of which were under colonialism. So what we call development, for many who belong to this school of thought, has been a failed attempt to reconfigure the social, economic, and political lives of non-Western societies after this so-called Westernization, modernization theory that says that society, especially so-called backward society, can only get better if they did what? If they embraced Western orthodoxy, economic orthodoxy, if they embraced Western democracy, if they embraced, in this regard, Western religion, which was Christianity. So Christianity, therefore, came into Africa with a clear agenda. On one hand, there's, one will see that there's been a lot of development, if you use that word, in terms of healthcare, education. However, the Christian religion has consciously, if you like, made several attempts in order to help the so-called evolution of African society. And as a Catholic, I think that the Catholic social principles and Catholic social ethics have been very significant in redefining this development terrain, especially the critique of neoliberal capitalism, the idea that says that wealth is might and that the individual is expendable. Globalization then came in as this new, if you like, octopus that held its trajectile hand on everything going on in the world. The social, the economic, the political, all were just held together in this, if you like, complex web. So Africa was playing in this web. And so I think what Christianity or what Catholicism has done in a more specific sense is really a conscious attempt to redefine development away from neoliberal economic orthodoxies, globalization discourses, and modernization theories into finding what you might call common grounds where everyone has a fair shot.
For those of us in the third world, for those of us that are in Africa, did it bring any value?
Yes and no. You see, I believe that no culture, no civilization, no people will be developed, if we use that word development to understand, modernization, things getting better, progress. If we just consider that understanding of development, I believe that Africa cannot be developed by non-Africans. Because, there is a saying that among the Yorubas that if you do not plug the holes in your barn, the rabbit that eats your yam will return. Now, if we understand the international structure, the global order, that everyone is trying to protect their own turf. Look at Trump. He says America first. Look at Brexit. That should sound the alarm bell to those Africans who think that their redemption will come from outside Africa. What I think is happening is that individuals and societies are beginning to redefine what is the turf on which they are playing and what are the terms and conditions under which they will play in a way that protects their own cultural values, the economic, social, and political values and goals within the global conversation about global ethics, international order, and all that.
I've heard things like so many Christians, churches everywhere, so many mosques, Muslims everywhere, and there's so much corruption in a place like Nigeria. There's so much corruption in a country like Kenya, South Africa, name it. But these are very deeply religious people. So we talked about religion in the traditional setting. In the contemporary times, today, has religion helped politics and development?
I would say yes and no. Yes, because some people feel like the prayer for Nigerian in distress, at least people have not come to a point where they despair to the point of taking their own lives, to the point of really despondency, high level
No,
of...
some people have taken their life
Yes.
in Nigeria, though.
But it has not become an epidemic like in the United States. You see, in the United States last year, 45,000 Americans took their own lives. But America is considered a first world nation, prosperous. In Chicago, where I live, this year alone, over 631 homicides. So the point here is that everything boils down to what is the goal of life. Now, in terms of what religions have contributed and how they have, so the positive aspect is that religion, Christianity, it embodies hope. It embodies a sense of community. It embodies a sense of righteousness, of right and wrong, authentic Christianity. Now, how do people get to the heart of Christianity, which is love of God and love of neighbor, which is also, so you become loving, but you also become lovable by virtue of the way of life that you lead. Now, so I think on one hand there is this, but on the other hand is what in former times we call the God of the gaps, the God of the gaps. In pre-scientific era, many people who didn't have scientific explanation for what was going on around them, they filled this scientific, non-scientific knowledge with God. So when it rains, okay, God has brought down the rain. When it doesn't rain, oh, God is punishing us. Somehow, I think that's what is happening in some forms of Christianity today. You know, someone will talk about God, Jesus covering the potholes with the blood of Jesus. And people will shout amen before they leave traveling from the east to Lagos or vice versa. So I think what we have is an abuse of religion. Authentic religion, authentic Christianity is about creating a new society. A society that is righteous, a society where people have a sense of solidarity, and a society where people have a sense of ultimate concern that things today and things around us, these are all instruments in order to advance our lives to the life beyond.
Was it what you were saying in that volume you edited, The Search for Abundant Life, Health, Wealth, and Hope?
Yes, because, I mean, many people agree that religion, African traditional religion, embodies a moral tradition of abundant life. Abundant life is not prosperity. Abundant life is what the Igbos will call ujundo, ezibondo, fullness of life, a good life. There is nothing better than the fact when someone says, he is a good man, she is a good man. That is what in traditional African society a religious person is, simply a good man, a righteous man, a full man. So who embodies a totality of function. He's able to cultivate the land. He's able to say the truth. He's able to participate in political discourse. His word can be trusted. He's a man of integrity. That is what we did in that book, to say people are searching for abundant life. That is fullness of life. They want coherence in their life. They want coherence between their religious profession and their religious action. But they're not finding it. Rather, they're being fed with, wishy-washy faith, or devotionalism. So God becomes an instrument. But Christianity is a way of life. It's an end in itself. It's not a means to an end. So what has happened is that we have Christianity that has become purely functional Christianity, superstitious Christianity.
Commercial?
Yeah, magical Christianity. Yeah, I mean, Peter Berger wrote a book, The Sacred Canopy, where he calls the market value theory of religion. That, I mean, Peter Berger is not the best advert for Christianity or religion, but his book, Sacred Canopy, gives this theory that for many people, religion, especially when you look at what's going on, religion or Christianity in a more specific sense becomes like, like a shopping mall where you're checking to buy a shirt. So you got to try here, you got to try here. And so it's competition. So what you have is competition What you have is also fragmentation. It's a sign that our society is fragmented. Religion brings coherence and cohesion to society. It's a bond. Abundant life is not just something about me, it's cosmic and human flourishing. That's what abundant life means. But the question is, are we having cosmic and human flourishing? Are people flourishing in Nigeria, in Africa? It is to the extent that this happens that one can say that we have authentic religion. Otherwise, what we have is abuse of religion, and it will dissipate over time because it doesn't leave any traditions of holiness or wisdom or traditions of development and, newness.
You talked about the concept or philosophy of the good man, the righteous man. Can we describe our leaders today as good men, righteous men?
Who am I to judge?
Based on the oaths they swear to protect the Constitution, to provide a better life for those that follow them.
Yeah, I have written in my diary, just within the last few days I've been in the country, after traveling by road from Abuja to Enugu and seeing the road, how bad the road is, especially towards Ajokuta and Lokoja, and moved around in my home state of Enugu in Ababa area, seeing how bad the road is. And the express road from Onitsha to Enugu is horrible. The one from Enugu to Port Harcourt is awful. And I left this country, 17 years ago. I do not see any significant progress. What I see is what the Brazilian economist Celso Furtado calls growth without development. You're seeing growth, you're seeing some buildings, but you're not seeing development in terms of the change in the quality of people's lives. So, and I wrote in my diary that any religious leader who, seeing what is going on in this country at this point in time in Nigeria, fraternizes with these leaders, should be considered a heretic. A heretic means someone who is promoting false teaching. So you cannot hobnob with men and women who have debauched the very essence of what political and African traditional leadership means. The African traditional leader is a man of integrity. He's a man of sacrifice. He's a good man. He's a wise man. The same with women. The women, in traditional African society, they embody the finest virtues and values of the land. That's how you become a leader, because you embody the vision. You model the way. You encourage the heart. And you are an embodiment of a shared vision. Unfortunately, with due respect, I think that in the present political arrangement in the land, we are not playing with our first 11. I'm not sure even if we are playing with our reserve team. So, unfortunately, our people have accepted this kind of, thing, because somebody was telling me about a state governor said, oh, he builds roads. I said, was he elected to destroy the roads in the first place? So, we have a fundamentally dysfunctional value syndrome. And it's not just about leadership. I don't believe in top-down leadership, but I think leadership is very decisive. But as Asemogo and discussed in Why Nations Fail because of extractive leadership. And unless there emerges a creative destruction of this system, this institutional failure that has chained our people to an ever-revolving cycle of poverty, suffering, and despair, unless there is a creative destruction, this nation would not realize its destiny. But our land is so blessed. Great people, great minds. Everywhere I go, I travel around the world. Everywhere I go, you see great Nigerians. Why do they flourish outside Nigeria? And when they come here, they tend to be stymied by, some kind of what I can't fully articulate, you know. I don't know. So I think we have a problem of leadership, but we also have a problem of dysfunctional value syndrome, where there are no consequences in this country for bad behavior. There are no merits for good behavior. So you must know so and so person in order to get a job, even though you are good at what you do. And then people break the law and they don't suffer consequences. And so the nation, I mean, there are positive things happening. I'm not an Afro-pessimist. I believe that what you see in this nation in Africa are only signs that we are not satisfied with what is happening. It is an invitation, like I think St. Augustine said, what you need to bring change is anger, that things are not what they ought to be, and courage that you can help make a difference.
Professor Stan Chu Ilo, I think that's the best point to leave this conversation. And I must thank you for your time and for your very insightful discussions. And to wish you a safe journey back to Chicago.
Thank you very much.
I've been speaking with Professor Stan Chu Ilo, who is a Catholic priest and also a research professor of African Studies at DePaul University in Chicago. Don't go away.
Are you 18 years and above? Have you registered with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC? Do you have your permanent voter card, PVC? If your answer is yes, what about your family members, your friends, your colleagues, and your neighbors? Remember, your vote can guarantee a better future for Nigeria and Nigerians. Your vote can make all the difference. Your vote is your power. Don't sit on the fence. Be an active citizen. This is a signature show contribution to better citizen participation in governance.
Well, you're still watching the Signature Show, and that was Professor Stan Chu Ilo, Catholic priest and professor of African Studies at DePaul University in Chicago, United States of America. And with me in the studio, as I told you earlier, is Mrs. Ekanem Ekweme, who is the President, Ladies Golf Association of Nigeria. Madam, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Your women were in Ghana for the All Africa Challenge Trophy AACT. Tell me about it. What was the experience like?
It was very colorful, very overwhelming, I think we were very patriotic, I must say, because immediately the Nigerian supporters entered Accra, arrived in Accra. I think the color of Accra turned to green and white.
The All Africa Challenge Trophy, who and who usually comes for it?
Okay, it's just like the name entails, it's an African ladies amateur golf championship.
Okay.
And all African countries are supposed to participate in the challenge. This year we had 19 entries, though 18 countries turned up. I think the highest they've ever had is 25 countries. You know, some countries don't have a ladies organized section to bring today, because you actually have to have single handicappers, like very good lady golfers, to support your country, because you're flying the flag of your country. So it's for all African ladies. And it kind of encourages us to bring out champions who can go ahead and become professionals, you know, and it's just a way of helping ladies to play more golf.
For a competition like this, I want to assume the government sponsors it, or how is it done? Is it a government-sponsored group of players, or did you go there by yourselves? How did you make participation possible as president of the Ladies Golf Association of Nigeria?
Usually, all other countries when they come, they are being sponsored by their government.
They are supposed to be they are sponsored by their government.
Yes, they are sponsored by their government.
So the same thing happened with your
No. We don't get sponsorship from government. We don't.
Why? Is it a normal thing, or why? I mean, if other countries are sponsoring their women to this kind of competition,
most countries come under the federation's sponsorship.
That's the Nigerian Golf Federation.
Yes, most countries come. And of course, that funding is supposed to go from the ministry to the federation. Or sometimes the federation is on its own, so it sponsors the ladies too, because they are representing their country in these events. But we normally just source for funds, go to corporate organizations, get individuals in the golfing sector who understand what we're going for. And then this year, luckily, with my exposure, and experience, I was able to talk to, go into partnership with Kinetic Sports, some gentlemen who believed in what we were going to do and also want to help ladies in golf, to grow in Nigeria. So they partnered with us and were able to support the team and the supporters to go to Ghana.
What kind of delegation did you go to Ghana with?
I went to Ghana with a contingent of 57 people. I went with a TV crew, cameraman, a photographer, and the most important one was that we went with a team coach, which has never been done because normally we don't have funding for that, So,
but this year you got funding for you to go with a team coach?
Kinetic Sports, yeah.
Okay.
So we went with a team coach, and I must say that I really commend them because they came in late. Normally other countries, by now they've started grooming the people that will represent the country in 2 years' time. But we got that funding like a month, so we had to put up a team that will go and play. Took the best of our three and made sure that I took some juniors to expose them so that maybe just get their determination, psych them up, to get interested in trying to represent. Maybe they'll go there and watch and see and want to do the same thing because that's also a way of getting them to play this golf,
You didn't quite prepare, but I hope our country was not disgraced in Ghana.
No. Nigeria, we just always have a way of representing, I must say the flag flew higher this time because we weren't sponsored, So there was a feeling, there was this love and we had the numbers, went and we tried, we played. Unfortunately, our lead player got, a spinal injury.
Oh my God.
And yes, though she still returned the best scores, but it wasn't the scores we were envisaging, So, but overall, we still made the podium. We still got a trophy. And
you don't want to tell us which position you get.
We still got a trophy. At least half of the countries didn't get trophies, but we did. So that was, there's room for improvement, really.
What do you think was the takeaway? What was the value that was added to the Nigerian Ladies Golf Association with what happened in Ghana?
What we took away was that, or me especially, was that we need young ones. We need to take golf to the public, need to introduce golf to the younger generation. We need to start bringing up people who represent Nigeria in future because golf is a big deal. There's money in golf. We need to invest in golf, especially ladies golf. Even the home of golf, the R&A, Scotland, has started investing in ladies golf more. So while we're in Ghana, I took 2 young girls from the St. Mark Otupo Academy. They just graduated from the academy. I took them to Ghana and we stayed over, registered them for the Ghana Ladies Open. And between the 2 of them, they got 3 prizes. They got the best in the, we have a gross and net category, like overall, and then they got the best in their own categories. One of them got the nearest to the pin, and that was good. The scores they returned was, it was perfect. It was awesome. And it got me thinking, Why didn't I take them to actually represent Nigeria? You know, but the experience, because these are individual sports, you need the mental strength, you know, and they don't have it. So we need to mentor them, need to train them. If, you know, so moving forward, we need to invest in young ladies to play golf, encourage them to play golf, so we can use them as Nigeria representatives in future.
Well, you're just a couple of months in office as president of the Ladies Golf Association of Nigeria. Tell me, what kind of experience have you had this few months?
Well, it's been awesome. I can't complain. Golf for me is a passion, you know. So I actually took this position as a challenge because I just want to encourage the younger generation that we have the technological experience and knowledge and we can make a difference, you know. And so far, so good. So far, so good. I mean, Accra, Ghana proved me right that it can be done, you know. So I took this challenge up for it to also be a pave way for my younger or my mates, to show them that we can do it. We can take up this thing, change it, and then move it forward. Nigeria is a very large country with so many number of people. South Africa, if you go to the southern part of Africa, the golf there is something else. They have so many academies, they have so many schools, golf schools, and when they play, you're amazed. You love to watch them. But we don't have any of those kind of institutions here. And I really hope that through the Nigerian Golf Federation, we'll be able to install one.
What's the relationship between the Ladies Golf Association of Nigeria and the Nigerian Golf Federation?
Okay. The Nigerian Golf Federation is the national governing body of golf all over in Nigeria. Now, the Ladies Golf Association of Nigeria is the national governing body of ladies golf in Nigeria. We are affiliated to the Nigerian Golf Federation, and we're also affiliated to the R&A, which the Nigerian Golf Federation is also affiliated to. So it's like when you have a club, you have a ladies section, because the men can't handle the ladies. Okay. They must have a lady captain who takes care of the ladies' affairs. That's the same thing Elgan does for ladies in Nigeria. So we take care of, we are the link between Nigerian women and R&A, Nigerian women and the rest of the world.
What kind of activities do you put together for the women Ladies Golf Associations? In a year, what do you do?
Well, in a year, it's a must that I must have a national event. It's an international event because ladies come from outside to play, all over the world to play. So you have to have, the organization, the association must have that event every year. This year is going to be in November in Le Meridien Ibom, or Ibom Golf Resort now, in November. So it's called the Nigerian Ladies Open. Apart from that, we have clubs in Nigeria, clubs all over Nigeria, in different states. Those clubs have ladies sections. Those ladies sections are mandated to have an event which is tagged and open every year. A section must have an event, and that event is organized. It's an Elgan event, because once it's an open championship, it means it involves ladies all over the country.
And probably beyond.
Yeah. And through us, we can always invite people from outside to come and play those events if they are international standard, because there are certain events you can invite people from outside, and there are events you can't invite. It's not worth the trouble. So we help them organize these events. There are some states where you go, or some clubs where you go, they don't need your help. Or there are some clubs you go and they need your help from the beginning to the end. So we kind of find a way to level that up.
Mr. Kweme, I mean, you are the president of the Ladies Golf Association of Nigeria. And I don't think you just jumped from nowhere and became president of Ladies Golf Association. Before now, what have been your activities in golf? I mean, what does your past talking about golf look like?
I got introduced to golf in 2002. And that's a long time ago. And I've been lady captain of the prestigious IBB International Golf and Country Club. I was lady captain 2010, 2011. Actually, when I was lady captain of IBB, we hosted the same event we went to in Accra.
The
AACT.
AACT.
Yeah, Nigeria hosted, because that event it moves around the regions, north, south, east, and west. So in 2010, the Western region hosted it, and Nigeria hosted. Now it's come back again to the West, and Ghana has just hosted. The next one is going to the South, Namibia. So I was lady captain 2010, 2011. I was also lady captain of the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan Golf Course at the Air Force Base in Abuja. I actually more or less started the golf course with them, helped them to change it from brown to green, and I had to hand over that position to another lady, Justina, when I took over as president of Elgan. So I handed over last year, 2017.
When I go to most competitions, I see women like you, and especially when it's a big event like the one you went for in Ghana, they wear the pins, plenty pins like you're wearing right now. And I think I want to say, are they like military officers? Because they are the ones that wear stuff like that, wear a lot of decorations. And what are these pins on your jacket? What do they represent? What are they for?
Yeah, they represent the number of tournaments you've been to, or the number of countries you've been to.
International tournaments.
Yes, international tournaments. When you go for a tournament, like I went to Accra, I got an Accra pin, a Ghanaian pin, or the tournament pin. Sometimes you get two pins. You get the tournament pin, and then you get... So those pins, when you look at someone's lapel, you know where the person has been, the tournaments the person has participated in, or has represented the country in. So this just tells the number of countries I've been to and the number of tournaments I've participated in.
Oh, it looks like, a new feather in a cap.
Yes.
So it keeps increasing as you go.
Yes.
Oh, that's great, because I always wondered why people had to wear.
Yeah, there's so people have a very heavy lapel. It tells you how long they've been at it and how consistent they've been at those tournaments or going out to opens.
What do you think is the level of golf and golfing in Nigeria? Is it where we want it to be? Are we leveraging on what you said, that golf is a money earner, and that a country can actually make a lot of money from golf tourism? Do you think we are where we should be? Or if we are not, where should we be, and how can we get there?
We definitely are not where we should be. Definitely no. That's a no-no. But without the government's involvement or interference, because even when you try to, they interfere. So if the interference comes in, it doesn't work. If they don't get involved, like golf is, like you said, a big earner, but also you need to invest a lot of money.
So they should treat golf like they treat football?
More, because golf earns more than football, by far. So golf should be treated more. Football, you can wake up and train for 6 months, 1 year, and you're ready to go as a professional. You can't do that in golf. You have to grow. Golf is like life. You have to start young. You have to be disciplined. You have to be consistent. You have to go out. You get the exposure, get the technology, get all sorts, get the trainer, start well. Football, you can just kick up and down, and golf, you need to learn how to start properly. Like, you get a writing book and you trace the writing. You have to do the same thing with golf. That's why in the Southern African countries, you see they have golf school where you go and learn, breathe, drink golf, and then you go home and read English and maths, So it takes a lot of discipline. I don't know if we're that disciplined right now to go all the way to improve golf in Nigeria, because golf is a lot of money. the tourism in golf is something else.
Moving forward, where do you see the ladies' golf? Where do you see it, the future? What would it look like in years to come?
We want to be optimistic, you know, and hope that with the way things are going, like getting this partnership with Kinetic Sports, they're committed now. They want to commit to helping ladies improve their golf, you know, maybe try to get some professional young ladies from Nigeria, because you can't quantify an event or sport without the professional strength. You use the professional strength of that country and the country can only earn respect outside from the professional strength of the country. That's why football, Nigeria earns a lot of respect outside when it comes to football. The Ghanaian president said something. He said the West African countries were not just lucky with the small ball. I think that was a nice way.
Not as lucky as we are with the big ball.
With the big ball. That was a nice way of putting it. The Western African countries were not just lucky with the small ball, because it's more technical, really. So I don't know. I want to be optimistic because I'm also committed. I'm passionate. I really want to help, you know, find a way. I don't know how we're going to do it, because it takes a lot of commitment, money, to find a way to improve bring up young girls who will be able to represent us in the future.
Finally, when you talk to a lot of young people, you know, they tell you that they'd love to play golf, but they are scared because everyone tells them that it's an expensive sport. Is it true?
Yeah, it is. It is. It takes a lot. It might not as expensive as
people are saying it.
But you have to be disciplined. And when I mean discipline, like maybe you have to have a different purse for golf, a different savings account for golf.
So are you saying that a young girl with 30,000 cannot buy maybe a fairly used kit and start? Because when we keep saying it's expensive, a lot of even grown-ups are scared.
With 30,000, you can get something. You can get what you can start with.
Start training.
It's like when you want to drive, you don't just go for a Rolls Royce. You start with a second-hand Tokumbo. You just find what you can afford. You know, if you really want to drive, not if you're. Maybe if someone dashes me a car, I'll drive. But if you really want to buy a car, of course. So that's the point where we need to encourage young ladies to get to that point where they really want to be part of that. And that's why we have clinics. We call them golf clinics, training clinics.
Are they free?
Yeah, more or less free. More or less. Because you can't, it's more or less free. You just come and hit that small ball. See if you like it. From there, we get some people that get committed, come in, play. Then they see that there's no money. Some ask you, how much is there money involved? They want to get the money in first before they play the game, you know. So some ask you, is there money involved? And when you say there's no money involved yet, but at least the network, the exercise, you know. Others have to, most people who play it is from exposure. Most of the young ones who play it are because their parents play. But parents who let their kids play golf also want their kids to be lawyers and doctors. And golf is a very jealous game, sport. You can't combine the two. You can't. It has to come first, you know. So it's very hard for you to see. I mean, I'm also a parent, and of it's not easy. That's why when you see parents who encourage their kids, like Georgia's parents, Georgia Obo, we have our Nigerian #1 right now, Georgia Obo. The parents go everywhere with her. You have to enter events. You have to get a professional trainer. You have to get a professional psychologist. I mean, it takes a lot. And because it's an individual sport, you have to get all those people play with one person. It's not like a team event that you get one psychologist for the team or two psychologists for the team. But this one, you have to get all these trainers, coaches, just for one person. So it's a bit tedious and expensive, yeah.
Golfers in general, what does it teach? What is the value to take away from playing golf?
First and foremost, the integrity, discipline, character. I think it kind of adjusts or helps you to straighten your character, because that small ball, it deals with you and you're there. It turns you around and you're there. It takes you up, you're there. It drops you, you're there. It just kind of molds you, and I think that's the most important thing.
It molds your character, sincerity, honesty,
discipline,
and all that. So that would be a nice way to end the conversation. That if you play golf, there's a tendency you would mold your character. You would remold your character, because it has a lot to do with honesty, sincerity, integrity. Thank you so much, Mrs. Ekanemi Kweme, President, Ladies Golf Association of Nigeria. Thanks for coming to the Signature Show.
Thank you, sir.
And that's how we draw the curtain on our show today. Remember where to go watch this program again or any of our older programs is signaturetv.com.ng. We wait for your comments on our social media platforms. I am VINMARTIN, OBIORA Ilo from the Signature Studios in Abuja, in Nigeria. I say, have a wonderful week.